This is Grandma, washing and drying jerseys as the team devours the meal that she cooked. Sleep crusts fill her baggy eyes hidden behind her glasses. It is a cold fall day outside. The fire warms the house as the last of the jerseys are folded up. The basement window is filled with frost above the washing machine. The sounds of boys laughing upstairs as Grandpa tells another one of his classic jokes. The smell of Tide laundry detergent and a hint of sweat overwhelms the basement walls. Grandma says, I need to find some thick thread to stitch these holes. Grandma was a selectively hostile person for 77 years. She had a different personality for every person that she spoke to or was around. She had dark brown eyes that made you feel like she was looking into your soul, framed by her gold round glasses. She was tall, rounding out to be about 5 foot 5 inches. She was not the skinniest person, but she certainly wasn't the largest. She fit somewhere in the middle. Her hair was always put up professionally, usually once a week. I never could figure out how she got her hair to stay. She must have had some pretty good hairspray. On a typical day, you would see her wearing comfy jeans, a soft cotton t-shirt, and shoes that were very easy to slip on and off. You would often find her with a tape measure and a needle. She was oftentimes more concerned with the jerseys that needed patched than her grandchild that she was supposed to be watching over. Outside of her appearance, she was an argumentative, condescending, and sometimes hurtful person. I suppose you could even say forgetful, whether it was on purpose or not. After not knowing how to express my feelings towards Grandma, I looked through the internet and found a poem that vividly expresses how I feel. The poem is empty promises, empty words, empty gestures, empty apologies, half-hearted attempts to fill the emptiness only to fill it with more and more and more nothingness until it is full and overflowing with hollow vacancy. Usually when you think of a grandmother, you typically think of a woman that is caring, loving, kind, and thoughtful. Grandma could be all of these things, if you were the right person. I mean, if she genuinely cared about you, you felt her love and you could easily give her the same love back. This was not the case for me. She worked as a secretary before becoming a full-time coach's wife. This can be a difficult job, but oftentimes made it seem it was more important than me. I can remember one time when I was probably 7 years old, I wet the bed. I was sleeping with my older sister, and when I went into her bedroom to tell her, she moved my sister in there with her and made me sleep on the wet sheets. She said, I bet you this lesson I'm teaching you will make you learn that this is not acceptable. Surely enough, my older sister never had to sleep on sheets filled with urine. I oftentimes felt like I was the grandchild she didn't like or the one that she forgot about. This oftentimes caused arguments between her son and her son being my dad. Dad was the oldest of 2 siblings. She spoiled him a lot until the next child came around. It was a girl. Dad says my younger sister was always the golden child in my family. Dad went from being the spoiled kid to the other kid. Dad shares a story of when he was a teenager and he would go out with friends or to parties, the doors would lock at midnight. If Dad was at the door at 12:05 a.m., they would not get up and let him in. He had to find his own way into the house. As you would guess, Dad didn't come home after midnight too often, or he would risk hurting himself trying to glide his body through the windows that filled the house. Once he got inside, it was like a tow race to get to his room quickly and quietly, so that he didn't wake up Grandma or Grandpa. However, if his younger sister were to come home after midnight, either Grandma or Grandpa would get up and let her in. Dad says they were afraid to leave her outside because they thought she would get kidnapped or she would be really scared, but they let me stay outside with the same risks. That still bothers me to this day. I simply express my gratitude to him for never allowing something like that happen to either my sister or me. I have so many different kinds of stories with Grandma. At times, she could be so caring in some ways, but most of the time when I was with her, it didn't really seem like she wanted me to be there with her. One time when I was probably 10 years old, my family and I were over at Grandma and Grandpa's house for Christmas. Christmas time at age 10 is so exciting. You get many presents, nourished by lots of food, and you are surrounded by many people that love you. At least I thought so. We were all gathered around the tree, excited to open presents. My sister and I began to pass out gifts when I noticed that there were far less gifts for me than there was for my older sister and my 2 younger cousins. At that time, I was very upset by this. I remember thinking to myself how unfair to me. It wasn't even about the number of gifts that she got me. It was the fact that she deliberately did this to me. As my older sister was opening her gifts, there were not only a lot of them, but for the most part, they were all expensive. My cousins were opening their gifts, and they were in the same boat as my older sister. What did I get? I got 2 of the same pair of pajamas and a pair of slippers. My older sister got 2 pair of Ugg boots and a bunch of clothes. My cousins got a variety of clothes and toys, and what was I doing? I was sitting there watching as they opened all of their gifts. This caused a lot of problems between Grandma and Dad. I remember Dad saying to Grandma, Lauren is your grandchild too. You can't spoil 3 of your grandkids and leave your last grandchild to sit there and watch. This incident left me feeling hurt and like I was the forgotten grandchild. I still refer to myself as the forgotten grandchild today because although Dad and Grandma got into a heated argument because of this incident, things never really got better and I always seemed to be forgotten. The majority of stories that I share with my grandmother are sad and depressing. We never really shared that bond that typical grandmothers and granddaughters shared. Most grandmothers want to love and care for their granddaughters, but not the grandmother that I was given. I can remember one time when my older sister was 12 years old, Grandma and Grandpa took my older sister to New York City for the weekend. When they were gone, I missed my older sister so much. She was my best friend at the time. Grandma would not let me call her. I was sobbing to no end to my mom as she was begging Grandma to put her on the phone. They were gone for 5 days and I did not get to speak to my older sister once. That hurt my feelings incredibly. The only thing I wanted to do was talk to her and see how her trip was going and to tell her how much I missed her. I am still mad at Grandma for this even now that she is gone. Grandma has caused me many issues. I used to say to my mom, why doesn't she like me? I didn't do anything to make her not like me, did I? Neither of my parents could really answer me. Dad would say she loves you in her own ways. With the lack of love from Grandma, I still think that because someone that was supposed to love you very much, that no one can love me. It has caused me to feel like there is something wrong with me personally. This has been a process for me to overcome as I have had to grow up. Grandma made me grow up a lot faster than the typical kid. I'm blessed that my older sister was able to grow up at her own rate and that Grandma never treated her the way she treated me. This love for my older sister has caused conflict in our own relationship. It caused conflict because this was not fair to me and I wanted to feel the same love from Grandma as my older sister did, and it made me very jealous. This still causes arguments between us today and even after she is gone. We have tried to repair our relationship after our arguments, but the death of Grandma has caused deep relationship issues amongst my entire family. Dear Grandma, I've started my senior year of high school. Not that you would remember, but I've stopped playing soccer. It hasn't been too long since we last spoke. Little did I know that this would be our last time speaking before getting the text from Mom saying that we needed to go to the nursing home. You said to me, boy, you just keep getting prettier and prettier. I know you thought I was someone else being that you called me by the name Melanie earlier that day. I know that you would never honestly say something like that to me. I don't know, maybe you were just having another bad day. So listen, if you can find time. I need to write about you and the way you impacted my life. I need to let all my feelings out. They are all bottled up inside me and I feel like I might explode. I'm going to tell the truth, Grandma. I'm going to tell the readers about how you treated me and how you neglected me as your grandchild. I'm not going to lie like that day I did at your funeral. The funeral where I stood up there and lied to all your friends and our family. I stood up there and lied. I spoke about how you were a great woman and how you changed everyone's life that you were in. I thought maybe that it would give me closure, but it did the exact opposite. Standing up there at that podium and lying not only filled me with regret, all of these emotions bottled up, and all I wanted to do was tell everyone the real Grandma that you were to me. I know that it doesn't really matter anymore, but I need this closure. So can I write the truth? Can I write the closure that I need?